In this set of notes, I want to look at the structure of dissertations and projects. This is just one proposal. When you do your dissertation or your project, you may have different chapter headings, different titles, and so on. The logic of what I'm going to do, I think, is fairly robust, and I'm just going to make it explicit through this set of notes. In fact, when we work our way through it, you'll find it's very, very straightforward, almost bordering on patronizing you. But if you forgive that, just look over the notes. It'll give you a structure. It'll give you a way of setting about doing your work logically, I suppose. Okay, so every dissertation or project that you encounter will presumably have some sort of title. Must have a title. What you may not be aware of or be conscious of is the fact that titles come in two parts: a theory part and a practical part, or an application part. I'll give an example here. For example, an analysis of the factors that lead to innovation within the water industry in the UK. I think actually that was the title for a dissertation I come across once. There are two parts in here. There's the innovation part and there's the water industry part. So what we have is the application, or the practical part, the water industry, and the theory part, innovation. And all titles have those components. They all attempt to analyze or to discuss or to do something with data through some sort of theoretical structure. So the title will always have a theory part and a practical part. So the first part of our project will be the title. The second part is the introduction. Well, big deal. In fact, I tend to leave the introduction to the end, because the introduction should be a synopsis of what's going to come. It should tell the reader what the project's about, how it's going to be set out, what's attempting to do. And it's probably best to do that at the very end, because you'll know what's in the project and how you set it out, what problems you've solved. Next, the review of the literature. This is the theory part. The old-fashioned title for that is Review of the Literature. You're going to need theory. Theory is the bedrock upon which the whole project is based. You're going to read over the theory and you're going to test some comment, some idea, some model, something within the theory. That's your job. Your job is to test something that you've read. So this particular methodology, the one we're using here, is a testing one, where we're going to test the theory using data. So the review of the literature is educating the reader about what you've come across, what theories you've come across. It shows your preparation, and it shows your knowledge of the area. The next component will be the methodology. Methodology is just method. And I suppose in this context there are also two parts, a theory part and an application. There's the theory of methodology. For example, what method are you going to use to deliver your project? How are you going to analyze data? Are you going to do it by questionnaire, by interview, by statistical analysis, by participant observation? And what's the theory behind these? What are the assumptions upon which they're based? What are the limitations of each of the techniques? And then you have to set out how you're going to do your particular piece of data collection. That's the application part. So how are you going to set out yours once you've selected the theory part? Then put in something on data capture, which we sometimes call the empirical section. Empirical means done by experiment. It's not really appropriate for us, but the term sticks. So we talk about the empirical section. The data capture. How did you do it? How did you collect the data? What sources did you use? How did you dig out the sources? When you've done that, you get to the analysis. Now, the analysis is very important in the project. In a way, the analysis is what it's all about. The analysis links the review of the literature and the data together. So this bit is a combination of the review of the literature plus the data, which is equal to the analysis. So in this way, the whole project is bound together. It's all integrated. The next bit is simply the conclusion. The conclusion is a summary of the results. It concludes the project. It's really, I suppose, a synopsis again, a précis of the analysis. Don't minimize on the importance of the conclusion, because if you want to get a quick picture of what a project's about, the chances are the reader will go to the introduction and to the conclusion. That's just a quick picture. So don't minimize it. Conclusions are used. Then you put in the bibliography, used by author first. Do it alphabetically. Go to the library. There are plenty of sources on how to do a bibliography. It's a list of all your sources, journal articles, books, case studies, whatever you've used. Make them logical and put them into one big list. Do it by author, do it by surname, by forename, by date, and so on. Plenty of sources in the library to help you with how to create a bibliography. As for the writing style and the presentation, well, use the Harvard system of referencing. That's the one that is most widely used in academic circles. So I think it's important that you become familiar with it and happy with using it. So use the Harvard system. Remember to have a good standard of English. Use good grammar, spellings, and pagination. Set out the project nicely. If you want the reader to respect you, you must respect the reader. It's only fair. There are a lot of tools to help you with grammar and spellings. If you use Word, for example, Microsoft Word, it'll tell you when there's a grammatical error or when there's a misspelling. You might have to change the dictionary to UK, but okay. It's important to have good English. We are studying business. Remember to follow the dissertation or the project's requirements. If the project says it's 3,000 words, make it around 3,000 words. Don't hand in 150 words or 10,000 words. Just stick by the rules. Finally, pick a research topic that's of interest to you. If you're interested in the thing, you'll find it far easier to do. Don't pick one that bores you from the start. If it does, you're never going to complete it. And finally, your project shows what you can do on your own. That's an important skill. It's one to be proud of. If you do a good dissertation or a good project, working on your own, employers and universities and colleges, they're interested in somebody who can do that, can take up a topic, research it, get an insight into the thing, get some research done on it. That's interesting, and it says a lot about you. So those are some general ideas about setting up a project. I hope those were were useful.